Good morning, everyone. This is Mirto Mangriotti, and I want to welcome you to today's webinar. We are going to have a great time together. Okay, are you ready to dig deeper into your wants and needs and learn how to make them come true? And my cat is coming to join the webinar with us. I've got some really exciting information to share with you. In fact, I'm going to be giving you proven strategies for building the kind of life, lifestyle, career, and future you've always wanted. If you would like to have more money, a better career, better relationships, more free time, or be more healthy and fit, you have come to the right place. I want to take you through a process that will help you start dreaming again. And I want to give you the proven steps for getting from where you are now to where you want to be. These proven strategies I'll be sharing are already being used by top achievers around the world. People who have succeeded widely in business, philanthropy, sports, entertainment, science, and more. They've got awesome lifestyles, terrific relationships, fascinating causes that are important to them, all the money they need, and of course, they've got the freedom to make their own schedule, to focus on the things they want to do. But I don't want to just give you examples of people I don't know. I can do one better. I can testify from my own experience that they do work. 2.5 years ago, I had a job I really did not like at all. It was a family business that was going nowhere and brought me a lot of stress and anxiety. My love relationship had ended, I was depressed and 15 kilos overweight. But I was fortunate enough to stumble upon these principles and I started implementing them in my life. Today, I'm no longer depressed or overweight. I closed the family business and changed my career. I found my calling and became a transformational coach, and I really enjoy my life. My relationships with everyone around me are deeper and more meaningful. And all this in just over 2 years. I must admit this is still surprising to me because I get proof daily that by changing just my attitude, people around me respond differently, which is amazing. Life feels good and is getting better every day. And I want that for you too, which is why I'm happy to have you with me today to go through this proven formula. It's just a matter of following the steps. There are just 4 steps. Step 1, take responsibility for your life. Step 2, decide what you want. Step 3, set measurable goals. Step 4, take action. So let's dig into them. If you had the chance to download the workbook that's included free with this webinar, you'll see there are worksheets you can do on your own time for each of the 4 steps. You don't have to do anything right now. Some of you who have heard me before know that the first step to creating a different future is actually an equation that changes everything. E plus R equals O, which stands for event plus response equals outcome. Before learning this equation, I responded to life's events as they came up. If I got a flat tire, I would respond with frustration. If my bank account was in trouble, I was miserable. If there was bumper-to-bumper traffic when I was running late for a meeting, I blamed the traffic. But here's the reality. Events just happen. Often you can't control them because they materialize as a result of specific situations, other people's emotions, timing, the economy, the weather, and a million other details that are outside your control. Events just happen. But what most people do when faced with the events is they feel harassed and stressed. They do anything to just make the situation go away. That's reactionary. And most of the times, it introduces an outcome they don't want. So what's their first inclination? to blame the event for the bad outcome. Unfortunately, blaming an event for producing a negative in your life puts all the power outside of your control. There's nothing you can do about external events. They happen. That's reality. So the only way to get a good outcome is responding in a way that will bring about the outcome you want. Here is an example. When I was running our family company, Greece was in crisis, and it was affecting our company too. I used to blame the Greek economy, the recession, and the public sector's bureaucracy and inflexibility. I believed that it was unfair that the private sector had to suffer from the government's incompetence and corruption. No matter what I tried, the problems persisted. My anxiety increased, and I still believe it was not my fault, but our country's problems. To put it in context, the event was Greece in recession and our company struggling to get by. My response was to blame the economy, and the outcome was that I was really stressed while the company's situation remained the same. And then one day I saw it. It was the universe pushing me to take a hard look at my life and take responsibility for it. I stopped blaming the event and decided that it was me who really didn't like this job that was the real problem. I took the whole situation as an opportunity to change the course of my life. And that is exactly what I did. So this is what I want from you today. Make the first step of this life-changing formula I've been talking about and take responsibility for how you respond to events, mishaps and catastrophes, but especially for how you respond to opportunities that come up. This doesn't mean you have to take responsibility for the event itself. That is usually out of your hands. But how you respond is 100% within your control, and it's the one leverage point where you can change what you get out of life. So taking more responsibility for our responses is the first and most important step towards creating more success in our lives. You can be thoughtful and deliberate, or you can be frustrated, reactive, and emotional. It's always your choice. And what's so terrific about this concept is that it puts control back into your hands. That is especially important when opportunities come up, opportunities for you to get ahead or achieve what you want. Have you noticed that some people react emotionally when an actual opportunity presents itself? They complain that the timing isn't right, or that they are not ready, or that it will require a lot of work to respond to the opportunity, or that they don't have the money right now. It is very interesting to hear the complaints and excuses some people use for not taking action when opportunity arises. Which brings me to the second point about E plus R equals O equation. You have to give up blaming and complaining about the event and focus on how you respond appropriately and positively. Getting back to negative events that happen, what do most people do? They complain and also tend to complain to the wrong person. If I'm upset that my boss Erica has given me a ton of extra work to finish by tomorrow morning, I complain to my coworker Steven. And if I'm upset at my spouse for not helping with any of the house chores, I complain to my best friend. That doesn't solve anything because I'm complaining to the wrong person. It's wasted energy. I need to tell Erica that her timing or prioritization of projects is unworkable and we need a better system or scheduling. I need to tell my spouse that I would like us to make a list of things we can both do to contribute to keeping our home in order. If I speak to the right person instead of the wrong person, the right person can do something about it. They have feedback that I would like something different. Of course, that person won't always grant my request, but at least communicating my request is the first step to actually getting what I want. It is just mature discussion. It's relationship management 101. But what about natural disasters and other events that don't involve individual people? I can respond differently to those events too. I can leave an extra 20 minutes early for meetings in case of traffic. I can take the opportunity to listen to my favorite podcast or music while standing in any queue instead of getting frustrated or angry. I can upgrade my skills so that I'm still valuable to the new management team after my company gets bought out. And I can have the right kinds of healthy foods in my refrigerator so that I'm not eating on the run or grabbing junk food because I'm too busy to shop or cook. Instead of spending most of our time blaming things outside ourselves, the weather, our boss, the traffic, the economy, or the current government, we can take action in advance and be prepared. We can devise ways to increase our options should the disaster occur. Whatever the world throws at us, we have to stop blaming something outside of ourselves. So taking more responsibility for our responses to events is the first and most important step towards creating more success in our lives. Another important part of taking responsibility and not being a victim in life is watching out for something I call yellow alerts. Yellow alerts are little events or comments or recurring situations that you notice that act as clues that something is happening or is about to happen that's not going to work out in your favor. Here's an example. I hire Maria as my personal assistant, and 2 months later she says, I'm thinking about marrying a wonderful guy who lives in Crete. But I ignore that. A month after that, Maria says she's falling more in love with this guy and also hates the rainy weather here in London. A few weeks after that, she's buying bridal magazines and looking for real estate in Hainan. Then, all of a sudden, Maria quits and I'm surprised and unprepared and scrambling for a new admin solution because I wasn't paying attention to the yellow alerts Maria was giving me all along. There are lots of yellow alerts in your life. Like your teenager comes home late, night after night, with a rank smell on his clothes. Or the senior executives from head office have been repeatedly visiting your department with no explanation. Or your biggest client has been giving projects that are ideal to you to other consultants. You wonder, well, what's going on here? But you don't want to say anything because that would be too uncomfortable. Unfortunately, because mature conversations and inquiries and taking action is inconvenient or uncomfortable, we tend to deny yellow alerts rather than act upon them in time. The truth is, we're almost always given clues that things are coming. We are not the victims here. I want to direct your attention to 2 different exercises in the free workbook that was included with today's class. If you don't have the workbook yet, you can download it after this webinar is over by going to the link that was in your confirmation email when you registered for today's webinar. You don't need your workbook to do any exercises right now. But to get the most benefit from today's class, please do the exercises sometime in the next week. The first exercise I want to explain is something called a difficult or troubling situation analysis. Just like an unexpected event, we all experience ongoing troubling situations from time to time. It's just part of life. No matter how well you prepare to avoid these hardships, they sometimes simply happen. And if not addressed, they can trouble you for years. It is far easier to resolve the situation and then move on. What kinds of situations am I talking about? A teenager or sibling who's not speaking to you. A financial difficulty that's getting worse every day. A health condition that's annoying, nagging, or uncomfortable. A tense atmosphere in the office. That sneaking suspicion that your spouse is being unfaithful. The key here is to respond to the event whether it's sudden or long-standing, with a commitment to resolving it, so that you can move on to creating better outcomes in the future. The difficult or troubling situation analysis will help you get past the current situation so you can focus on your success again. The exercise has full instructions in the workbook, but it essentially asks you to analyze the payoffs or benefits you get from keeping the situation like it is, the negative costs of keeping it like it is, your part in creating it or allowing it to be like it is, and the actions you could take or requests you could make to get what you want instead. Don't fail to respond to a troubling situation because it is easier, more convenient, less uncomfortable, less confrontational, keeps the peace, or doesn't require taking risks. Take action. Don't allow negative outcomes to be your fate. In the same way, you don't want to fail to respond to a yellow alert because it is easier, or more convenient, or less confrontational. If you're experiencing negative outcomes in your life, perhaps you're ignoring the facts or excusing your part in creating the problem. To help you identify areas that to take corrective action or take action to prevent eventual disaster, this next exercise asks you to examine each area of your life and determine if there's a problem that you're ignoring or creating. This second exercise in your workbook is called "What Are You Pretending Not to Know?" You might be ignoring something to do with your health, or your money, or your family, or your lifestyle or career. Whatever it is, this exercise will help you respond to the yellow alerts before something disastrous occurs. Okay, we have established that you have to take responsibility for your life and your responses in order to get a favorable outcome. Which brings me to the next critical step in the proven success formula that I have introduced at the beginning of this webinar, which is that you have to decide what you want. One of the most amazing phenomena you'll ever experience as you incorporate this formula into your daily life is the unexpected phone call, the sudden financial benefit, or the uncanny new acquaintance that brings you exactly what you want or need in order to achieve your goals, almost as if it were planned. Perhaps it's the universe rewarding your new take-action attitude by harnessing all the forces at its disposal. Or perhaps you've worked hard and have grown yourself to the point where you're finally ready to receive a benefit which has been waiting in the sidelines all along. But more probably, as researchers now believe, it may simply be a matter of your subconscious mind focusing and recognizing opportunity when it arrives. Whatever the explanation, the reality is that what you want wants you. Your goals, desires, and needs are patiently waiting to gravitate towards you once you decide that what you truly want. Of course, the main reason why most people don't get what they want is they haven't decided what that want is. They haven't defined their goals exactly in clear and compelling detail. After all, how else can your mind know where to begin looking, seeing and hearing if you don't give it specific and detailed goals to achieve? There is a very powerful technique for helping you define what you want in vivid detail. I'll be talking about that technique in just a moment. But before defining the ideal life you want for yourself, there is a word of caution. Make sure that your wants are personally important to you, not those you believe should be important, not those the world expects you to have, or something your mother wants you to focus on, but what's truly important to you from the deepest place in your heart. Don't live someone else's dream. Unfortunately, the sad reality for most people is they simply aren't honest with themselves. If they were, they would realize their shoes are almost always less interesting than what they truly want. I want to tell you a story. Some time ago, I took a taxi and we started talking. I commented about the traffic and I asked him if it was a difficult job. He answered with his story. For 18 years, he used to have a construction business, building pools all over Greece. He traveled daily so much to supervise the construction work that now driving the taxi, he probably makes less kilometers per day. He told me he used to have 2 expensive cars and a lot of money. But he worked for so many hours per day that he did not have time to see his family or enjoy anything in his life. When the financial crisis started in Greece and affected him as well, it made him realize that he was not happy. He said that for him it was a blessing in disguise. He closed his company and bought this taxi. He is now really enjoying his life. He stopped smoking and he is healthy and stress-free. He decides on his working hours and he has free time to do the things he likes with his family. Like returning home to eat a decent lunch with his wife. He is happy. He is living his dream life. Maybe being a taxi driver is not what someone would call a dream career, but for him it is. The point of this story is that what we want and what makes us happy is more important than what other people think. Decide on what it is you truly want and go for it. When you put your mind into it, opportunities will show up to help you get there, including the money. One of the easiest ways to begin deciding what you truly want is to ask a friend to help you make a list. Have the friend continually ask you, what do you want? What do you want? For about 10 to 15 minutes while jotting down your answers. Your friend must not express any emotion, approval or disapproval, or change the question in any way. Believe me, this really works and it brings up great positive energy too. You will find that the first ones you run through aren't all that profound. In fact, most people usually hear themselves saying, I want a Mercedes, I want a big house on the ocean, and so on. But by the end of the 15-minute exercise, the real you will begin to speak. Things like, I want people to love me. I want to make a difference. I want to be significant in my field. Wants that are truly expressions of your heartfelt desires. Just go with it and trust your gut. So, that's a quick exercise you can do with a friend. Then trade places and help them make their own list of wants to do. But to really create your definite list, I want to introduce you to the vision exercise. This exercise will help you decide what you want to be, do, and have in the 7 major areas of your life. The vision exercise is also located in your workbook. This is an exercise you do privately, just you alone. Start by putting on some relaxing music and sitting quietly in a comfortable environment where you won't be disturbed. Then close your eyes and ask your subconscious mind to give you images of what your ideal life would look like if you were living it exactly as you want. Visualize your life in 7 key areas. Your career and professional life, your finances, your recreation and free time, your body and physical health, your relationships, your personal growth, and your community work. As you go through the exercise, you'll be defining what you want to be, do, and have in each of these 7 areas. There are ideas, prompts, and memory joggers in each section to help you think through your ideal life. But your subconscious mind knows what you want and should be the ultimate source of ideas for you. Let's do a little bit of this exercise right now. Close your eyes now and begin breathing deeply. Take another deep breath. And another. Now, imagine you are in your ideal home environment. Where is it located? What is the view outside the windows? What are the colors of the main living areas? What kind of decor or art objects do you have in your home? Is there music playing in the background? Can you hear any other sounds? How do you feel as you stroll through the rooms of your ideal home? Now, come back slowly and focus on your breath. And open your eyes. So, what you just did was an example of the vision exercise we'll be doing later in the workbook. It takes time. Don't rush it. If you don't immediately see images of the different areas of your life, that's perfectly okay. It still works just as well if you are just thinking of the ideal elements instead of actually seeing yourself in those environments. Let your mind wander a bit. Dream a little. When the ideas come to you, write them down in the workbook. Many people set aside an evening to do the rest of this exercise. So tonight, after this webinar, it is a great time to get started on this lengthy exercise. But it is an important one because it will ultimately form a goals list of things you need to work on. Sometimes you will know exactly what you want in some area of your life and be clueless on another. Don't worry about it. This is also very common. That's why it is perfectly fine to repeat the exercise in the next few days until you get a clear idea of what you want for each of the 7 areas. And trust me, you will get there. Okay, so here's some really good news. Those wants that you'll be identifying later in your workbook are achievable. In fact, for most, everything we want, someone else has already done it, created it, owned it, or achieved it. So there's not much that we want that is so extraordinary it can't be accomplished. But the key to getting what you want is to set goals around the things that you want to be, do, and have, which is step number 3 of the formula. And how do we set a goal? By writing it in such a way that it is specific and measurable. That is something someone other than you can know for certain whether you've achieved that goal or not. Let me give you an example. If you said, I want to own a house at the beach someday, it's a nice dream or desire that you have. But to make it into a specific and measurable goal, you need more information. And you need to state it in a way that there is certainty you'll have that beach house one day. Like this. I will own a 400 square meter house on Pacific Coast Highway in Malibu, California by 12 midnight, April 30th, 2025. Do you hear the difference? This second version of your goal tells your brain exactly what you want to achieve, not just a vague, dreamy hope. If you want to retire early with millions of dollars invested, for example, state the exact amount you'll have invested on the exact day you plan to retire. As part of the vision exercise in the workbook, you'll be turning all your wants into specific and measurable goals that you can begin working and achieving. That's exercise 4. And here's a bonus idea. Why not create minimum goals, target goals, and outrageous goals? Whenever you write down your specific and measurable goals, set 3 different levels you will achieve. Let's say you want to build a large savings account and get out of debt. A minimum goal might be putting together €1,000 emergency fund in the next 30 days. A target goal might be to save up to 3 to 6 months of living expenses in the next 8 months. And an outrageous goal might be to pay off all your consumable debt and even your mortgage in the next 7 years. Or another example, if you want to lose weight, a minimum goal could be to lose 2 kilos in the next 30 days. A target goal could be to lose 10 kilos in the next 6 months, and then an outrageous goal could be to wear the jeans that fitted you perfectly when you were in your ideal weight in a year. The outrageous goal is always something that would just blow your mind if you achieve it. Your target goal is usually something within your capabilities, and your minimum goal is something that you're almost guaranteed to reach, but it gets you going and taking action, whereas an outrageous goal might seem too overwhelming to start. What happens with this minimum target optimum formula is that most people will start with a minimum. Then they get motivated and end up reaching their target goal very easily. Have you ever said, I'm going to clean and organize that sock or underwear drawer, and the next thing you know, you ended up organizing the whole closet and even called the local charity to give away a truckload of unwanted things? It was just a matter of getting started. Sorry, let me just see if I can hide the video panel, the floating meeting controls. Okay, great. Okay, let's move on. While goal setting is an important step to achieve the wants on our dream list, most of the goals we set focus on improving our life in the moment. There are things like get the house painted, finish my sales report, clean out the laundry room, lose 10 kilos. But what if instead of focusing on a single goal, what if instead you focused on a single goal that would end up, that would up-level everything you do, from your career to your career network, to your income, to your lifestyle? Wouldn't that be a goal worth pursuing with passion? Wouldn't that be something to focus on a little each day until you've achieved it? Think about it. If you were an independent sales professional and knew you could get a substantial bonus commission and maybe even a promotion once you landed a certain number of customers, wouldn't you work day and night to achieve that goal? If you were a stay-at-home mom whose entire lifestyle and financials would change by earning an extra $3,000 a month, wouldn't you pursue every possible opportunity for side work or your own part-time business to achieve that goal? That's what I mean by a breakthrough goal. Something that changes your life, brings you new opportunities, gets you in front of the right people, and uplevels every activity, relationship, and group you're involved in. What might your single breakthrough goal be? There's an exercise in the workbook that will help you decide. What one single change in your career, business, lifestyle, or relationships would boost you to the next level? Is it landing a promotion, changing jobs, expanding your business, finding your soulmate, qualifying for an award, going back to school, moving across country, retiring early, or some other goal? So, whether you believe you can achieve it or not, take time later to think about your breakthrough goal. There's a page in the workbook to figure it out and write it down. Look at exercise 5. I want to finish our discussion of goal setting by talking about a technique that will help you achieve major goals in record time. It's a way to get your brain focused on assembling the resources, people, money, and circumstances needed to bring about your everyday goal and especially your breakthrough goal. It's called affirmations. Affirmations are vividly detailed statements of you living, working, and enjoying life as if your goals had already been achieved. Affirmations help the brain focus on bringing about your heartfelt desires. One example of an affirmation is, I'm happily depositing my first 100,000 royalty check as a best-selling author. Another affirmation is, I'm joyfully receiving the company's top sales award. Or, I'm gracefully wearing my favorite pair of jeans. So how do affirmations work? As scientists now know, the brain is a goal-seeking organism. If you give it a compelling, colorful, crystal-clear image of what you want, it will work night and day to create the opportunities, contacts, resources, and circumstances needed to achieve that vision. In fact, the brain has a special function called the reticular activating system that filters through the millions of impressions, images, messages, and thoughts it receives each day and only passes to your conscious mind that specific information that will help you reach your goal. For example, if you've ever thought about speaking at your industry's convention as a way to boost your career, and then immediately remembered you met the National Education Director last month at a trade show, that's your reticular activating system bringing you ideas and contacts that can help you achieve your goal. Reciting your affirmations frequently through the day actually focuses your brain on the goals you want to achieve. Writing them down on index cards, note cards, your smartphone's wallpaper, on a site at the bottom of your bathroom mirror, or in other places you see frequently, is a way to constantly focus on your most important goals. My best advice is to write out your specific and measurable goals in 3x5 cards, then review the cards in the morning when you first wake up, and again at night before you fall asleep. You don't always have to know how you will accomplish a goal. Just keep visualizing yourself in the future as if you had already achieved it. It's also powerful to add color, sounds, emotions, and other sensory aspects to your visualization time. As you review your cards, try to experience the feeling of confidence as you deliver the keynote address at your industry's annual conference, or the scent of cinnamon rolls baking at the bed and breakfast hotel you recently opened, or the sound of waves breaking at senior executives' retreat in Hawaii, or the joy you feel as you're living out your dream career or professional accomplishment. Repetition is key. The workbook includes detailed guidelines to help you write powerful, effective affirmations for your unique situation, using your goals and previous exercises about what you want to be, do, and have. look for exercise 6. Of course, we have come to the most important step in the original 4-part formula introduced at the beginning of this webinar. It's step number 4. Take action on your goals. Sometimes our biggest life goals seem too overwhelming. Though we may work hard at achieving them, too often we decide to put them off altogether until we have more time, more focus, more energy, or more manpower. We rarely see our goals as a series of small tasks, but in reality, breaking down the goals into smaller tasks and accomplishing them a few at a time is precisely how any big goal is achieved. By breaking down your goal into bite-sized pieces and baby steps, you can begin accomplishing the small tasks that you've determined will lead to achieving your goal. But beware, preparing to move forward isn't the same as taking action itself. In other words, preparation, research, planning, getting it perfect, these are all areas where people get bogged down and never actually start taking action. They're too busy getting ready. But one way that I recommend you actually start to take action on your goals is something I call chunking it down. If you had a target goal of losing 10 kilos, a sample goal that we mentioned earlier in this webinar, what steps would you take to achieve it in the next 6 months? Could you, number 1, determine the amount of weight you would need to lose per month? Number 2, make a list of the things that could help you achieve it. Number 3, research the internet and maybe subscribe to a Facebook or blog for support. Number 4, make a diet and exercise plan and maybe join a gym. Number 5, make a supermarket list with healthy food alternatives. Those 5 steps, which are essentially research and making lists and going to the supermarket, are all things you could do in just one day, and in fact, probably one afternoon. By making lists of what needs to be done, you've effectively chunked down all the tasks into small steps that are doable and achievable. Which leads me to a helpful strategy for taking action, and that is practice something called the rule of 5. The rule of 5 simply means that every day you do 5 specific things that will move your goal towards completion. Bigger goals take longer, but the rule of 5 still applies. Do 5 things every day until your goal is achieved. Take buying a house in an exotic island, for example. That's a very big goal, but chunking it down and doing 5 things a day still applies. You have to find out where the best locations are. Decide which town you want to live in. Find out how much homes cost there. Determine how much money you'll need to save. Research where you can get your financing. Determine the repairs or decorating budget you need, and on and on. Once you decide all these things and chunk each larger goal down into small steps, you can begin taking action on these steps, 5 steps a day, until you achieve your goal. While he didn't call it the rule of 5, a seminar leader I know once said that in order to arrive at the life of your dreams, you simply, 1, make a wish list of activities, finances, and lifestyle you'll be enjoying once you get there. 2, break down each wish on the list into steps you'll need to take to achieve it. 3, choose a number of those steps to achieve each week or month or year. And 4, achieve them. That's the game plan we're talking about here for achieving the life of your dreams, or for achieving virtually any impressive goal you set for yourself. Is there something that hinders people from taking any action at all? Of course. One thing is the feeling that they can't accomplish even the smallest of baby steps, they don't feel confident. Another is that they feel overwhelmed by the sheer amount of stuff that they already have to do. And the third is that they have to ask someone for something in order to move forward, and asking is something they're simply too afraid to do. Well, let's address these obstacles right now. I'm actually going to start with the second one. People feel overwhelmed by the amount of tasks they already have to do. Most of us have incompletes and messes in our households, offices, relationships, families, finances, and other major areas of our lives. We've got overflowing closets and light bulbs that don't work, and 6 years worth of tax paperwork and bills that aren't filed, and the fight with our sibling that's still unresolved, and the nagging health condition we need to address, and on and on. We have incomplete tasks and messes that aren't cleaned up. So one way to stop feeling overwhelmed by what you already have to do is to clean up these messes and incompletes first. It's especially important to handle these incompletes because of what psychologists call attention units. You can only attend to 7 things at once. Beyond that, you can't. So when you have a cluttered desk, when you're constantly seeing all these papers and unanswered letters and 3,000 emails on your inbox, these things steal your focus away from the other tasks you want to accomplish. You look over your mental to-do list and think, oh, I should move that. I should put that away. I need to answer that. The more incomplete you have in your life, the more your focus and the creative energy gets fractured and scattered. The other reason it's important to clean up your messes and incompletes is that doing so builds self-confidence and self-esteem. When we have a lot of incompletes in our life, we are consciously or unconsciously judging ourselves as incompetent and incapable because we haven't completed them. Every time you look at these messes, they are reflecting back to us the message, you aren't handling me. We are either afraid to handle them or don't know how to handle them. And this fear and lack of knowledge compromises our feeling of competence. By handling the incompletes, we get more time in our lives to focus on those steps that will bring about the really important goals and dreams we have. So take the time to put all your incompletes and messes down on one list, either on paper or in your computer. Walk around your house and note things room by room. Go through your stack of bills to find anything not handled yet. Think of any relationships that are in bad shape. Once you have these things listed, you can prioritize them. Then tackle one a month or one per quarter. You don't have to think about the others all the time because you know they are on the list and will be handled in the order of their importance. You can even apply the minimum target optimum model to the messes. What is the minimum goal or the smallest incomplete that you will commit to handling by this weekend? What's a larger mess or incomplete you could make a target goal to handle this month? And what's an outrageous goal you could handle over the next 90 days? Handling incompletes and messes boosts your confidence and creates available attention span in your life to tackle the 5 things a day you want to do to reach your really big goals. But let's address the third roadblock that keeps people from taking action on their goals. And that is, they lack confidence when asking for what they need from other people who can help them reach their goals. Asking for the help you need is still a challenge that holds many people back. Why are people so afraid to ask? We are afraid for several things. Looking needy, looking foolish, looking ignorant. But mostly, we're afraid of experiencing rejection. We are afraid of hearing the word no. The sad thing is that When we don't ask, we are actually rejecting ourselves in advance. We are saying no to ourselves before anyone else had the chance to. But here's the thought. If you apply to Harvard and you don't get in, you weren't in Harvard before you applied, and you're not in Harvard after you applied. Your life didn't get worse. And think about it. You spent your whole life not going to Harvard, and you know how to handle that. Someone telling you no doesn't make your situation any worse. It just keeps it the same. Well, there's a specific science for asking for and getting what you want or need in the pursuit of your goals. Here are some quick tips to get you more comfortable with asking. Number one, ask as if you expect to get it. Ask with a positive expectation. Ask from the place that you have already been given it. It is a done deal. Ask as if you expect to get a yes. Number two, assume you can't. Don't start with the assumption that you can't get it. If you're going to assume you can get an upgrade. Assume you can get the table by the window. Assume you can return it without a sales slip. Assume that you can get the raise or that promotion. Don't ever assume against yourself. Number three, ask someone who can give it to you. Qualify the person. Determine for yourself, who would I have to speak to get this accomplished? Who is authorized to make a decision about that? Who do I need to speak with to get whatever it is you're asking for? Number four, be clear and specific. Too many people are walking around wanting more money, more love, more help around the house, more recognition at work, more of everything, but they're not being specific. Do you want enough money to retire? Do you want to go on a date night twice a month? Do you want the kids' bedrooms picked up every Friday and the laundry done by Saturday morning? If you're not sure about the specifics, do the research of what it takes and make specific requests. Number five, ask repeatedly. Never give up. Whenever we ask others to participate in the fulfillment of our goals, some people are going to say no. They may have other priorities, commitments, and reasons not to participate. It's not a reflection on you. Just get used to the idea that there's going to be a lot of rejection along the way to the trophy. The key is not to give up. When someone says no, you say next. Which brings me to number 6. Ask someone else. Remember, there are over 6 billion people on the planet. Someone else has enough authorization, is skilled enough, knowledgeable enough, emotionally invested enough, or otherwise capable of saying yes to you. Don't get stuck in your fear. Move to the next person, and the next person, and the next, until you connect with the person who can help. It's a numbers game. Someone out there is waiting to say yes. So to recap, the first thing you have to do is take responsibility for your life. Don't rely on other people and external circumstances to bring you happiness. Remember that your life is in your hands. Step 2 is you have to decide exactly what it is that you want in your life. What you want, not your family or your friends, or what you think you should want. Then set specific and measurable goals in order to achieve your best life. You can create minimum target and outrageous goals in order to get you started and not be overwhelmed. And last but not least, take action. Planning is necessary and sets the law of attraction into motion. But as the word attraction implies by its last 6 letters, without action, nothing is accomplished. It is just dreaming and wishful thinking. So take action and don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone by trying something new. Remember that the same response brings about the same outcomes. Be brave and willing. Reject rejection. Dream big and take baby steps consistently. And you will achieve every goal you set, one by one, by one, by one. So let us practice getting out of our comfort zone a little bit and taking some action. Here's what I want you to do right now. I want you to choose one thing that you'll commit to doing to create the future you deserve, starting tonight. Whether it's complete the decide what you want exercise in the workbook, or write your first affirmation cards, or handle a difficult and troubling situation. Whatever it is, make a mental commitment now and share it with us by posting in the comments of this webinar. Remember, when we share our goals, they are most likely to be achieved. Okay, as we're coming to the end of the seminar, maybe you're wondering, what now? What is my next step? Will I be able to apply what I've learned today? How do I keep up and don't fall back in my old way of thinking and routines? But don't worry, I'm here for you. I really love coaching and advising people in achieving their dream lives by setting goals and taking action. It is something I wish I had while learning and making big changes in my life. That is why I'm preparing an online course that will assist you in applying these principles. It is a 6 weeks online interactive course, and I'm really excited about it because I know it will help you build and sustain the basis you need to follow for the rest of your life in order to live your best life. It is exactly the next step you must make to incorporate what you have learned today into your daily practice. Here is what you will be getting when you enroll. A comprehensive workbook to guide you through the program. Access to a private group to collaborate with other members. Weekly group coaching calls along with the recordings for future use. These will be interactive. We will go deeper into the principles. I will give you more examples and we will do exercises together. This will enhance your experience and make you more confident to apply the principles in your life. You will also get an accountability system to help you get the outcomes you desire. And of course, you will get my ultimate focus. I will be there for you during the whole time to answer questions, give you guidance or advice on anything you need. So, if you're ready to make the changes and create the life you really want to live, if you want to go deeper into the principles and learn more ways to apply them in order to achieve your dream life, if you think you need a little extra push and assistance to get you started, grab your spot now for my upcoming online course. Invest in your happiness for only $297. I guarantee these 6 weeks will be life-changing for you. I would like to close with an invitation to contact me for any additional help that you need. You have my email, Facebook, and Instagram details. As I have said before, it gives me great pleasure to be of assistance. So contact me. And thank you so much for joining me in today's webinar. Goodbye for now.